There are three stories there, three issues there. The first has to do with the fact that there is this practice out of school children feeding program. You have the issue of the fact that it has to be removed from one ministry to the other. Before it was the Ministry of Education, and it was moved to the Ministry of Humanitarian Service. They say now return it. And then finally you talk about the fact that they are reintroducing this to keep children in school. They're talking about the reason why the program has to come up. But they have not told us that this program was not properly, did not go around the country really. And this program indeed was a drain pipe for public funds.
Exactly. That was why when you mentioned it, I chuckled.
Yes.
We've seen this happen. By all means, a laudable project if it were to be properly run. We saw a Buhari government that was heavily criticized because of this particular problem. Because, like you mentioned, rightly mentioned, it served as a conduit pipe to siphon public funds into a few pockets. People saw it as a means of enriching the government, the cronies of Buhari. Then it was a shame actually that up until today proper accountability was not done, and we saw billions, siphoned into drains. And we were asking, as journalists, we were asking, provide evidence. Who and who did you feed? Especially here in the south, in Port Harcourt, in River State.
We didn't say that.
Who did you feed? How did we go up to? We spend that, billions of naira. Feeding people, show us pictures of who you fed and point us to the direction of who you fed. But pushing that aside, in Senate climbs, who are saying, as expected, that this country and this administration had, told us that they do not have monies to spend. And we're saying government cannot carry everything on its shoulders. There are chores, there are burdens you can shift to, you can shift to private organizations, the multinationals in the country. You can say, okay, let's see how the multinationals can voluntarily help us take care of this. But if you make it a core government project, and then you lack accountability, you lack the machineries to checkmate, you lack the data. How many children are we feeding? Okay, how can you correlate the data to the children that were fed? How much was spent? And to bogus government fees or figures apportioned to a few children fed, it will do us no good. It will further endanger the economy. And Nigerians are saying, if this Buhari administration had shown sincere or slight accountability, it would have been easier to believe them wholeheartedly. Nigerians there's a gulf of disbelief a gulf of distrust between the Nigerian populace and this government. So the ones you introduce this now, the doubt will still exist.
That's a trust deficit.
The media will make a mincemeat out of it, of government. So first off, before projects like this are introduced, make sure that the gaping hole in distrust between the people and the government, you have done one or two things to end the trust of the people. Maybe not everybody, but a substantial amount of people should have believed that this government means well for the country. Else,
the way I see it is that if the government wants to do this kind of program, can they, kind of have a synergy with state government and put these things in the hands of state government? I remember that during, was it Rotimi Amechi's administration, there was school feeding in River State. And it was properly done. I remember that some commissioners and some of my friends who were directors in the Ministry of Education, we were talking about this. And we monitored their performance, around the state. And there was some level, especially in the urban centers, some level of success.
Some level of transparency. We can't gauge the percentage. But let me quickly remind you of what happened.
But we didn't see that at all in the last dispensation.
Okay, let me tell you let me say what happened. Let me tell you, let's come back home.
Yes.
And I'll tell you what happened during the flood era in Onega and that
Orashi region.
The state government deployed about R1 billion, to feed and cater to the needs of those flood victims. And then a committee was constituted. There are various allegations of playing party politics with it. because members and of that committee were chosen from a particular political party. But that aside, we also heard cries of people, the committee favoring only victims of PDP extraction. And so whether it's the federal or the state government, you will always have this cry of discrimination. You will have this cry of under providing, beyond, below the amount spent for that project. So I don't think it's a very good one. It's not, at least at this point of our lives as Nigerians, it is not yet time for all of these, jamborees, so to speak.